Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up.
The air on the General Hospital set was always thick with a specific kind of energy, a palpable hum of manufactured drama and real-world routine existing in a fragile, simultaneous state. It was a place where the scent of fresh coffee from the craft services table mingled with the faint, chemical smell of hairspray and the musty, reassuring odor of old set walls and vintage props. On this particular Tuesday, however, the energy had shifted. It was sharper, charged with a current of whispered speculation and poorly concealed grins. The daily grind of filming a decades-old soap opera was about to be spectacularly interrupted. The source of the disruption was not a last-minute script change or a temperamental star, but a ghost. Or, more accurately, the woman who was about to resurrect one. Kelly Monaco, whose portrayal of Sam McCall had been a cornerstone of the Port Charles landscape for nearly 2 decades, was walking through the familiar, labyrinthine hallways of the ABC studio. Her presence was a surprise, a clandestine operation planned with the precision of a military strike by the show's producers and a handful of trusted crew members. The storyline they were about to unleash was one of the most audacious in recent memory. Sam McCall, presumed dead by nearly every character in the fictional town, was coming back. For the actors who called these soundstages home, the news of Sam's death had been met with a mixture of professional respect for a departing colleague and genuine personal sadness. The set, a sprawling collection of familiar rooms, the nurses' station at General Hospital, the dimly lit interior of Charlie's pub, the opulent, often troubled quarters of the Quartermaine mansion, had felt her absence. Sam McCall was more than just a character, she was a force. A private investigator with a heart perpetually balanced on a razor's edge between cynicism and vulnerability, she was the daughter of a mobster, the wife of a detective, a survivor, a fighter. Her departure left a void, a narrative silence where her sharp wit and resilient spirit used to reside. The official story had been a tragic accident, an off-screen demise that left room for ambiguity but was sold with the finality that daytime drama often requires to sell a character's exit. Jason Morgan, her on-again, off-again great love, the stoic enforcer with a code of honor, was left to grieve, his granite exterior showing hairline fractures of a profound and devastating loss. Her children were left without a mother. Her friends, like the ever-loyal Elizabeth Weber and the fiery Maxie Jones, mourned the loss of a kindred spirit. The canvas of Port Charles had been painted with a new, somber color. But in the world of soap operas, death is rarely a period, it is most often a comma, a semicolon, a dramatic pause. The rules of mortality are fluid, dictated not by biology but by ratings, fan demand, and an actor's availability. Characters have returned from explosive disasters, fatal illnesses, and even plummets from great heights, their resurrections explained away by amnesia, secret twin siblings, witness protection, or the simple, glorious contrivance of a villainous plot. The audience, a loyal and passionately engaged collective, understands this unspoken contract. They mourn with a hopeful, skeptical heart, always whispering, "But are they really gone?" Kelly Monaco knew this history intimately. As she slipped into the makeup chair, a place as familiar to her as her own living room, she felt a complex swirl of emotions. There was the simple, professional joy of returning to a job she loved, to a cast that was, in many ways, a second family. There was the thrill of the secret, the knowledge that her return would be a genuine shock to the viewers who had followed Sam's journey for so long. But there was also a weight of responsibility. To bring a character back from the dead is not a narrative act to be taken lightly. It had to be earned. It had to make sense within the intricate, often baroque tapestry of the show's history. It had to honor the grief that had been so carefully portrayed on screen. The plan, as outlined to her by the executive producer and head writer, was a classic General Hospital gambit, high stakes, emotionally charged, and rooted in the show's long history of espionage and criminal intrigue. Sam's death was not a random accident but a meticulously staged disappearance orchestrated by a powerful, unseen enemy. She had been forced underground, her silence the price for the safety of her children and the man she loved. For months, in the show's timeline, she had been living in the shadows, a ghost watching her own life unfold from a distance, unable to intervene as Jason mourned, as her family struggled to piece their lives back together without her. The first scenes to be filmed for her return were the most crucial. They were the reveal, the moment the audience would learn the truth. The setting was the Port Charles Metro Court Pool, a location steeped in its own history of drama and danger. The scene called for Jason Morgan, portrayed by Steve Burton, to be there, lost in a moment of solitary contemplation, the weight of his loss a constant, heavy presence. The director, a veteran of countless such reveals, knew the power of silence, of a slow build. The camera would find Jason, his profile etched with a familiar stoicism that barely concealed the turmoil beneath. And then, from the periphery, a figure would emerge. For Steve Burton, the day was equally charged. He and Monaco had shared the screen for years, their chemistry a key ingredient in one of the show's most enduring and popular pairings. Acting opposite someone requires a deep, almost telepathic connection, a rhythm and a trust. To portray months of grief, and then to have to portray the seismic shock of seeing the source of that grief alive, was a formidable challenge. It was an actor's playground, a moment of pure, unadulterated soap opera catharsis. As the crew set up the shot, adjusting lights to mimic the soft glow of a late afternoon, ensuring the pool water shimmered just so, the two actors shared a quiet moment away from the bustle. Their conversation was a mix of easy, familiar banter and focused discussion about the emotional beats of the scene. "You ready for this?" Steve asked, a small smile playing on his lips. "I think so," Kelly replied, taking a deep breath. "It feels weird, you know? To be back like this. Like I've been in a coma and just woke up." "Well, get ready for the reaction. The fans are going to lose their minds." That was the unspoken engine of it all, the fans. In an age of fragmented media and declining linear television viewership, the audience of General Hospital remained a formidable and vocal community. They dissected every plot twist on social media, championed their favorite couples, and mourned the loss of legacy characters. The decision to bring Sam back was, in no small part, a response to the persistent, passionate outcry from that fanbase. Their loyalty was the lifeblood of the show, and the writers and producers listened even when the characters on screen could not. The moment arrived. The set fell into the hushed, focused silence that precedes action. The familiar call of quiet on set was followed by the sharp click of the slate. Scene 42A, take 1. And then, action. The camera rolled, its lens capturing Steve Burton as Jason. He stood by the pool, a glass of water in his hand, his gaze fixed on some distant, painful memory. The performance was subtle, a masterpiece of understatement. A slight tightening of the jaw, a fleeting shadow in the eyes, it was all there. The grief of a man who had experienced too much loss. Then, the cue. From the left of the frame, a movement. Kelly Monaco, as Sam, stepped into the light. The direction was for her to simply stand there, a silent apparition. She was dressed not in the glamorous attire of a television detective, but in simple, dark, practical clothing, the uniform of someone who has been hiding. Her hair was different, perhaps a shade darker, pulled back in a way that was both familiar and strangely alien. Her face was a canvas of conflicting emotions, fear, hope, a love so profound it seemed to radiate from her. The camera slowly pushed in on Jason's face. The change was instantaneous and electric. It began in his eyes, a flicker of disbelief, as if his mind was refusing to process the data it was receiving. Then, a slow, dawning recognition that shattered the stoic mask he wore like a second skin. His breath caught. The glass in his hand trembled, almost imperceptibly. It was a full 10 seconds of silent acting, a lifetime in television terms, and it was utterly captivating. Cut! The word broke the spell. The set, which had been holding its collective breath, erupted in a soft wave of applause and murmured praise. The scene had been perfect in the first take, a rare and beautiful occurrence. The chemistry between the two actors, the history of their characters, the sheer emotional weight of the moment, it had all coalesced into something magical. For the crew, many of whom had worked on the show for years, it was a reminder of why they did what they did. This was more than just producing a daily television show, it was the continuation of a living, breathing story. The following scenes would flesh out the mechanics of the return. There would be the frantic, tearful explanations, the moments of shock and anger from other characters. "How could you let us believe you were dead? How could you put us through that?" The writers had the delicate task of justifying Sam's actions without making her seem cruel or callous. Her motivation had to be rooted in a protective, maternal love, a desperate move made by a woman who believed she had no other choice. This narrative arc would allow for a rich exploration of trauma. For Sam, her time in hiding would have left scars. The woman returning to Port Charles would not be the same woman who left. She would be harder, more wary, haunted by the months of isolation and the constant fear of discovery. For Jason, the return would not simply erase his grief, it would complicate it. The relief and joy would be tangled with a sense of betrayal and a million unanswered questions. Their relationship, once a bedrock of certainty in a world of chaos, would now be built on the shaky ground of a shared, horrific experience. The return of Sam McCall would also send ripples through the entire community of Port Charles. Her father, Julian, though his own status was complicated by the actor's availability, would be forced to confront his past failures and his deep, often poorly expressed love for his daughter. Her friends, Maxie and Elizabeth, would grapple with the emotional whiplash of losing and regaining a confidant. And then there were her children. The writers faced the poignant challenge of depicting a mother's return to children who had been taught she was never coming back. It was a storyline ripe with psychological complexity, a chance to delve into themes of loss, resilience, and the imperfect, messy process of healing. For Kelly Monaco, stepping back into Sam's shoes meant rediscovering the character's core traits while also layering on this new, profound trauma. Sam had always been a fighter, but now her fight was internal as much as it was external. The wisecracking PI would still be there, but her humor might be darker, her trust harder to earn. It was an actor's dream, a chance to reinvent a beloved character from the inside out, to show a woman putting the pieces of her shattered life back together in full view of the audience. The impact of such a return extends far beyond the fictional town. In the very real world of television production, a move like this is a strategic masterstroke. It generates a surge of publicity, dominating entertainment news cycles and social media feeds. The headline "Sam is Alive" is a guaranteed ratings driver, luring back lapsed viewers and rewarding the faithful with a payoff of epic proportions. It reaffirms the show's identity as a place where anything can happen, where stories are not bound by the conventional rules of narrative. In an era of prestige television and limited series, the soap opera's greatest strength is its endless, evolving nature. It is a story without a final chapter, and the return of a major character is a powerful reminder of that unique narrative power. As the day of filming wore on, moving from the dramatic poolside reveal to more intimate scenes of explanation and emotional fallout, the initial surprise on the set settled into a warm, familiar rhythm. The secret was out among the cast and crew, and the atmosphere was one of celebration. It was a homecoming. Between takes, there were hugs and laughter, catching up on months of personal news, the easy camaraderie of a group of people who share the unique, intense experience of creating a daily drama. Later, in the quiet of her dressing room, Kelly Monaco had a moment to reflect. The adrenaline of the day was beginning to subside, replaced by a deep, satisfying exhaustion. She looked around the room, at the photographs tucked into the edge of the mirror, the well-worn script on the table, the familiar scent of the place. This was more than a job, it was a part of her identity. To have stepped away, even for a planned hiatus, and to now return in such a spectacular fashion, felt significant. It was a reaffirmation of her place in the long, storied history of General Hospital. She thought about the fans, the people who had invested in Sam and Jason's love story, who had mourned with Jason, and who would soon experience the dizzying joy of her return. She knew the messages that would flood social media, the all-caps declarations of shock, the tearful emojis, the screenshots of the pivotal scene. This connection, this shared emotional journey between the performers on screen and the audience at home, is the fundamental, beating heart of the soap opera genre. It is a partnership, a collective suspension of disbelief in service of a shared catharsis. The return of Sam McCall from the dead was not merely a plot point. It was a promise. A promise that in Port Charles, hope never truly dies. That love, however tested, can endure the most unimaginable trials. That the story is never over as long as there are characters to care about and actors to bring them to life. It was a testament to the enduring power of a genre that, for all its convolutions and contrivances, understands the human heart better than most. It understands our need for second chances, for resurrection, for the belief that even after the darkest night, the dawn can bring a miracle. The fictional sun would set over Port Charles, and in living rooms across the country, viewers would watch, their disbelief willingly suspended, as a woman thought lost forever stepped back into the light. And for a moment, the line between their world and the world of General Hospital would blur, and the miracle would feel real. The ghost was gone. Sam was home. The news spread like wildfire through the General Hospital set in Los Angeles. Kelly Monaco was back. The atmosphere buzzed with an energy that hadn't been felt in years. Crew members whispered excitedly, makeup artists exchanged glances, and the soundstage doors opened to reveal a sight that no one expected to see again so soon. There she was, Kelly, standing quietly near stage 4, wearing her signature black hoodie, her hair pulled back, a faint smile on her lips. It felt almost surreal. After months of speculation, endless rumors, and heartbreaking silence from ABC, Sam McCall's story was not over after all. Inside the studio, the cast was in the middle of a rehearsal when word started traveling from one person to another. "Kelly's here," someone said, almost in disbelief. Laura Wright, who plays Carly, looked up from her script. "You're kidding me," she said, half laughing, half stunned. "No, she's really here." "She's talking to Frank," came the reply. Executive producer Frank Valentini was standing just outside the director's booth, deep in conversation with Kelly. The two shared a quiet, familiar moment, no cameras, no fanfare, just genuine warmth between old friends who had built something iconic together. When Kelly stepped onto the soundstage, the entire set seemed to pause. Crew lights flickered softly overhead as she took a slow look around, taking it all in, the hospital hallway, the nurse's station, the scent of coffee and hairspray in the air. "Feels like home," she said softly, her voice breaking the silence. "I missed this place." The words hit everyone in earshot right in the chest. After her sudden departure, fans and co-stars alike had struggled with the void left by Sam's absence. Her story had been left open-ended, and now it seemed fate, or perhaps daytime magic, was pulling her back into Port Charles. Frank smiled and placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Welcome back, Kelly. You ready to shake things up again?" She laughed, shaking her head slightly. "You have no idea," she replied. Then, glancing toward the cameras, she added, "I think Sam's got a few unfinished stories left to tell." Later that afternoon, Kelly sat down in the makeup chair, her familiar reflection staring back at her in the mirror. The artist carefully brushed powder across her cheekbones. "Can't believe you're back," the makeup artist said, beaming. "Neither can I," Kelly admitted. "It feels like I never left, but also like everything's changed." She looked around at the young crew members bustling behind her, some faces new, others familiar. "It's wild," she murmured, "how fast this place becomes a part of you. You think you can step away, but it always pulls you back in." Meanwhile, in another corner of the set, Dominic Zamprogna, who plays Dante, was reviewing his script. He looked up when he heard a familiar laugh echo across the room. His eyes widened. "No way," he muttered. "Kelly?" He stood up immediately, dropping his script on the chair and walking over. When she turned, the moment was pure emotion. "Hey, partner," she said with a grin. Dominic didn't even hesitate, he wrapped her in a hug. "You're really here," he said, his voice warm with disbelief. "I thought it was a rumor." She smiled. "Guess the rumors are true this time." Their reunion sparked waves of nostalgia among everyone watching. "So, Sam's coming back from the dead?" Dominic teased, a mischievous glint in his eye. Kelly raised an eyebrow. "Apparently," she said, smirking. "You know, no one's ever really gone." They both laughed, the kind of laugh that only comes from two people who've spent years playing characters entangled in love, danger, and destiny. Frank joined them, holding a revised script. "All right, you two," he said, handing them each a copy. "I've got something that'll blow fans' minds." This, he pointed to the highlighted section, is how Sam makes her return. Kelly's eyes skimmed the page, her expression shifting from amusement to astonishment. "Wait, this is insane," she said. "You're really doing this?" Frank nodded. "We're doing it." Sam was presumed dead after the explosion, but the truth is she's been alive this whole time, held captive, hidden away, fighting to get home. And when she finally does, everything's changed. Dominic leaned over her shoulder, reading the lines with her. "She's gonna crash her own memorial service?" he asked with a laugh. "That's classic GH." Kelly chuckled. "Oh, Frank, you've outdone yourself." But then her tone softened. "This is going to break people's hearts, in the best way." The next morning, filming began. The scene was set at the cemetery. Rain machines thundered above, casting sheets of water down on the cast and crew. The somber energy was palpable. Dante stood by Sam's gravestone, reading his lines, his voice heavy with grief. "You didn't deserve this," he said, kneeling beside the grave. "You were my partner, my best friend, and I'll never stop looking for you." His voice cracked on the last word. The camera slowly zoomed in, capturing every ounce of emotion. And then, just as the scene seemed to fade into quiet despair, the director shouted, "Cue entrance." A faint figure appeared in the distance, drenched and trembling, stepping through the rain. The camera panned, the music swelled, and there she was. Sam McCall. Alive. The look on Dante's face was pure, raw shock. "Sam," he whispered, disbelief etched in every syllable. She took another step closer, her voice soft but steady. "It's me," she said. "I'm home." The set erupted after the director yelled, "Cut!" Applause broke out everywhere. Even the seasoned crew members were misty-eyed. Kelly wiped at her cheeks, laughing through her tears. "That was intense," she said. "It's like she never really left me." Dominic grinned. "That's because she never did," he replied. During lunch break, the cast gathered around Kelly, still buzzing from the energy of the scene. Cynthia Watrose, Nina, joined in, saying, "Fans are going to lose their minds when they see this." Kelly nodded thoughtfully. "They've been waiting a long time," she said. "I just hope it's worth it." Laura Wright chimed in, "Oh, it will be. This is GH history right here. You're the heart of the show." Kelly smiled but stayed humble. "It's funny," she said quietly. "When I left, I thought I needed space, to breathe, to figure things out. But the truth is, part of me belongs here. Sam's been a part of my soul for 20 years. Walking back on set felt like walking back into my own story." Later that evening, as the crew wrapped up, Kelly sat alone on one of the hospital gurneys, staring at the lights above. Frank approached, his hands in his pockets. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "Just thinking," she replied. "It's strange, playing someone who comes back from the dead. But I guess, in a way, I kind of did too." Frank smiled softly. "You brought life back to this place, Kelly. The fans are going to feel it. They've missed Sam. They've missed you." She looked around the empty set, her voice a whisper. "Then let's give them something to believe in again." When filming resumed the next day, the story picked up where the cliffhanger left off. Sam was back in Port Charles, but her return wasn't smooth. The people she loved had moved on, her children had grown, and Dante, her once great love, was torn between relief and confusion. "You were gone for over a year," he said in one scene, frustration creeping into his voice. "Do you have any idea what that did to me? To everyone?" Sam looked away, guilt washing over her expression. "I tried to get back," she said. "Every day, I tried. But they kept me locked away. I didn't think I'd ever see you again." Their dialogue crackled with emotion, as though Kelly and Dominic were pouring their real connection into the words. "You don't know what it's like," Sam continued. "To hear your name being called, to dream of home, but never reach it." Dante softened, stepping closer. "You're home now," he said, gently touching her face. "And I'm not letting you go again." Between takes, the chemistry between Kelly and Dominic was undeniable. "It's like riding a bike," Dominic joked. "Except the bike is emotional trauma and fake rain." Kelly laughed. And the occasional explosion, she added. Their banter brought lightness to the heavy storyline, reminding everyone why the duo had become fan favorites. As the week went on, word of Kelly's return leaked online. Within hours, #SamMcCall trended on social media. Fans flooded Twitter and Instagram with excitement, posting old clips, emotional tributes, and pure joy. "Sam's back from the dead," one fan wrote. "Kelly Monaco is a legend, this is the comeback of the decade." On set, the energy was electric. "You broke the internet," Frank teased as he walked by her dressing room. Kelly smiled modestly. "Guess Sam still has her magic," she said. The following scenes delved deeper into Sam's survival story. Flashbacks revealed her escape from captivity, the allies who helped her, and the trauma she endured. The writing team had crafted a gripping, emotionally rich arc that balanced suspense with redemption. One scene, in particular, left the crew in stunned silence: Sam's reunion with her daughter, Scout. The child actor ran into Kelly's arms, shouting "Mommy," and Kelly's tears were real. "I'm here, baby," she whispered. "I'm not going anywhere." When the director called cut, Kelly held the little girl a bit longer, overcome with emotion. "That one got me," she admitted, her voice breaking. By the end of the shooting week, everyone knew it: Sam McCall's return wasn't just another twist, it was a rebirth. Kelly Monaco had reignited the heart of General Hospital with her comeback. In the final scene of the arc, Sam stood outside her old penthouse, looking out over the Port Charles skyline. "Sometimes," she said in voiceover, "you have to die to find out what really matters. But I'm back now. And I'm ready to live again." As the director yelled "Cut, perfect," applause filled the room once more. Kelly smiled, wiping a tear, as Frank stepped forward. "Welcome home, Kelly," he said warmly. She nodded, emotion flooding her face. "It's good to be back." And just like that, General Hospital found its heartbeat again, one that fans had missed deeply. Kelly Monaco's surprise appearance wasn't just a cameo. It was a resurrection, in every sense of the word.